Welcome back to Book Break and welcome to our July book haul. As always, I have a massive box next to me that is full of some of the most exciting books that we have published here at Macmillan over the last month. I have not yet seen what is inside this box, so we're going to unbox it together. Starting with a very exciting one right on the top, Beyond The Story, by none other than BTS. This is first and foremost just such a beautiful book. It is a big chunky hardback that is a 10-year record of BTS, and it's just beautiful. It's made up of interviews and all of these behind the scenes stories. It is the first ever official record of BTS, and it was published in celebration of the band's 10-year anniversary. It's also quite interactive, so you have these little QR codes throughout the books. You can get even more of an experience, like watching videos while you read what they're talking about. It's written by a journalist with loads of input from the band, really in-depth behind the scenes knowledge. Any BTS fans in your life, I recommend you wrapping this one up under the Christmas tree for them. Did I just do my first Christmas mention on Book Break? Is that too early? It is August, Emma. Next up, it's a new Blake Crouch. This is very exciting. I actually did not know this one was coming out just yet. I am a big fan of Blake Crouch. He is a very good thriller writer. He writes really action-packed, really page-turning thrillers, often going into different genres that I don't usually read. Like, he's done sci-fi thrillers. This one is a kind of survival thriller. So, what is this about? On Christmas Day, my second Christmas mention of this video, on Christmas Day in 1893, every man, woman and child in a remote mining town disappeared. Belongings forsaken, meals left to freeze in vacant cabins, and not a single bone found. So in the present day, a journalist is setting out to figure out what happened to this suddenly abandoned town. Oh, and there are rumours that the town is haunted. And another hardback thriller, Blackthorne by Sarah Hilary. 6 deaths, 1 murder. That's very intriguing. This one seems kind of similar vibes. It's also about an abandoned place. It's a very creepy theme we've got going on. So this one is about 6 families moving into an exclusive new housing development on the cliffs overlooking the Cornish Sea. Very peaceful, very beautiful. But 6 weeks later, 6 people are dead and the housing development is left abandoned and unfinished. One of the surviving residents is determined to find out what happened, and the truth is deadlier than she could have ever believed possible. Oh, chills. I'm going to be having a very thrilling August, and the trend continues with All of Us Are Broken by Fiona Cummins, another of my favourite thriller writers. Fiona Cummins writes thrillers that get dark, and this one definitely gets dark. I have already read about the opening of this book, which is about a mother being forced to choose between her 2 children. So when I say it gets dark, I really mean it. If you've read any Fiona Cummins before, you may be familiar with the character of Saul Anguish, who we have met at different points in his life in different Fiona Cummins books, from being a teenager who got tangled up with a serial killer, to now he's an adult, he is a detective with a dark side, and he's such a good character. So this is another book in which Saul Anguish appears. So here's there on the path of this terrifying couple who are on a killing rampage, and their path is going to cross with that of a mother taking her family on a holiday. Moving slightly away from thrillers into adventure, The Ghost Ship by Kate Moss came out this month. This is the 3rd book in the Joubert family chronicles. This one, like all the books in this series, is a really sweeping story taking place throughout the early 17th century, going from France to Amsterdam to the Canary Islands. I've got an absolutely beautiful indie bookshop limited edition here. Just look at these sprayed edges. That is gorgeous. The maritime theme, because this book is about female pirates. And I'm just continuing to pull beautiful new hardbacks out, but we are moving genre once again. So this is The Stolen Hours by Karen Swan, which is the 2nd book in the Wild Isle series. So the first one was The Last Summer. Now we're on to The Stolen Hours. Look at this beautiful cover. It's the summer of 1929 and Mary McKinnon is in need of a husband. So it's set on a small Scottish island of St Kilda where her options for a husband are limited. So we're going to follow Mhairi as she gets engaged, but not to the man she loves. And hold up, I said we were changing genre, but not that much, because a dead body is found on the abandoned isle. This is about St Kilda had to be evacuated, and so on the abandoned isle a dead body is found, and Mhairi is amongst the suspects. The Centre by Aisha Manazir Siddiqui is finally out. You would be forgiven for thinking this one was already out because of how much I've already talked about it here on Book Break, but you can now finally get it. So The Centre is a dark, surreal novel. This is about a young woman who stumbles across the existence of the Centre, which is a language teaching centre that promises it can make you completely fluent in any language of your choosing in just 10 days. But of course there is a twist, there is a dark secret cost to your new language fluency, which our main character is going to discover. This one is a real page turner. It is very surprising and it is very clever. It's this kind of biting commentary on what would you pay for success, and on appropriation, and on what it really means to learn someone else's language. What are you taking from someone when you learn their language? And of course a language has a whole history and culture attached to it. When I heard this one pitched, I was thinking I would definitely sign up no matter the cost, because I'm terrible at learning languages and I would love to just learn one instantly. Having read this book, not so sure. Rental Person Who Does Nothing. This is a memoir that I'm so interested in by Shoji Morimoto, who is the rental person who does nothing. He has made a career out of doing almost completely nothing. He rents himself out to be a companion to whoever needs him, on the condition that he doesn't have to really do anything. People turn to him and rent out his services when they are feeling lonely, when they want to talk to somebody without judgment, when they just want somebody to be there. He won't do anything beyond very basic conversation, but sometimes just having someone there is enough. And he is really passionate about showing that every person can have value regardless of their abilities. You don't have to have a particular set of skills to be valuable as a person. I just started reading this book and fully got so sucked in that I forgot I was on camera. I'm gonna take this one home. Open Throat by Henry Hoke is a brilliant book that I have read and loved and talked about a lot here on Book Break. So this is a very quick read. Not only is it very short, but the pages are really spaced out like this. So you can read it all in one sitting, which is what I did, and you will love it, and then you will read it again. The most significant thing about this book for me to tell you is that it is narrated by a mountain lion. This mountain lion lives up under the Hollywood sign in LA, and he witnesses humans and sees the world through a whole new perspective. And so through the eyes of this mountain lion, we rediscover things like climate change and homelessness and just the kind of depression and ennui of most humans a lot of the time, seen through this completely new set of eyes. It's really poetic the way that it's written. It's mesmerizing. I loved this book, one that I can't stop talking about, because when else have I ever read a book written by a lion? Not written by a lion, the author is human. The narrator is a lion, and turns out I really like that in a book. The Mystery at Dunvegan Castle by T.L. Huchu is book number 3 in the Edinburgh Nights series. These books are Scottish urban fantasy. Our main character is a girl called Roper who can talk to ghosts, solve mysteries, and is studying Scottish magic. One massive unsolved mystery is why she's stuck in an unpaid magical internship. It's not ideal. One of the best things about these books is not only are they magical and dark and Scottish, they're also literary. So in this one, a librarian is murdered within Dunvegan Castle and a precious scroll is stolen. Roper must contend with corruption, skullduggery, and clan power plays. If she was being paid, it wouldn't be enough. But as we know, she's not, because tensions are rising as time is running out. Okay, we're going to move on to paperbacks now. There was a lot of exciting new hardbacks. But in paperback, we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is the first book in the Green Creek series. This is a steamy, dark love story between two boys, one of whom is from a family of werewolves. So Ox, who's one of the main characters, lives next door to this family of werewolves. Ox was 23 when murder came to town and tore a hole in his heart. Violence flared, tragedy split the pack, and Joe left town. Joe is the youngest of the werewolf family, leaving Ox behind. 3 years later, the boy is back, except now he's a man, and Ox can no longer ignore the song that howls between them. In the Weeds is the 3rd book in the Love Light Farms series by B.K. Borison, which TikTok has just been completely falling in love with recently, this whole series. In this one, a grumpy farmer meets a no-nonsense social media influencer. So Evelyn St. James and Beckett Porter had this one incredible weekend in Maine. But he had no idea that the sweet and sexy woman he met at the bar is actually a global phenomenon. These are really cozy romances, very beautiful covers as well. They all have this floral theme. I will link below so you can make sure, if you're not already, that you subscribe to our TikTok, because Carol Ann, who runs our TikTok, is maybe the world's biggest fan of Love Light Farms, so you're going to want to go over and see what she has to say about them. The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton has a whole new look in paperback, and it's beautiful. It is so summery. I have seen a lot of these piled up at the airport when I was last there. This is the perfect summer holiday read. It's a follow-up to The Miniaturist. This is historical fiction. It's set in Amsterdam in 1705. It's about Thea Brandt, who is about to turn 18 and has just met the love of her life. However, her family faces ruin, and Thea's aunt is convinced that the only solution is to find Thea a wealthy husband, rather than the one that she has just fallen in love with. As Thea and Nella clash over the demands of duty and the heart, past secrets begin to overwhelm their present. Will each woman be able to rescue her destiny from the whims of fortune? You will find out in The House of Fortune. Another brilliant summer read, The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh, is now out in paperback. I read this one in hardback last year and it was brilliant. So Rosie Walsh writes kind of domestic mysteries. This is about a married couple, Emma and Leo, who are totally in love, totally devoted to each other, until Leo suddenly discovers that Emma has been lying to him about everything. Nothing she has told him about herself is true, not even her name. So from this discovery, their whole relationship begins to unravel, and Emma needs to somehow prove to Leo that she really is the woman that he loves, even if the details aren't quite there. And to explain herself, she's going to need to tell him about the other love of her life. Disorientation by Elaine Shade Chu is now out in paperback. This is a campus novel satire for fans of Yellowface. This is about a PhD student who is just pretty fed up of her dissertation, determined to finish it and move on with her life. She's writing about this much lauded Chinese poet when she accidentally stumbles upon a strange note in the archive about this poet. That is going to lead to an explosive secret and upend her entire life. Look at this one, Red, White and Royal Blue. This is the movie tie-in edition. Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston is already such a beloved book, and now there is a film, and some of my colleagues have seen it and they have said it's incredible. Red, White and Royal Blue is a love story between a British prince and the son of the US president, who are at first enemies, but then are forced into a fake friendship in order to smooth over US-UK relations. But of course their fake friendship might just lead to a real other kind of relationship. For true crime fans, we've got Rogues by Patrick Radden Keefe, which is a collection of true stories of grifters, killers, rebels and crooks. Patrick Radden Keefe is an incredible writer and journalist. He has dived into so many extraordinary stories of true crimes, and this is a collection of some of his profiles of fascinating rogues. An adorable book in here by Floella Benjamin and Diane Ewan. This is Keep Smiling, a story of positivity, kindness and finding your smile. This is so lovely. It's a beautifully illustrated story about this little girl meeting a bunch of grumpy people who need a smile to cheer them up. It's all about the power of a smile, what your smile can bring to other people. That's delightful. I will keep smiling all day reading this. And finally, I've got 2 gorgeous new Macmillan Collector's Library books here. These are 2 novels by Josephine Tay. These are both crime novels. So we've got The Daughter of Time. Wow, this was voted the top crime novel of all time by the UK Crime Writers Association. somehow I've never read it and I call myself a lover of crime books. Come on, Emma. This is about Inspector Alan Grant, who is laid up in hospital with a back injury and he's bored. Renowned for his ability to read a face, he passes the time looking at old portraits, and one that particularly holds his attention is of Richard III, the infamous arch-villain who is said to have killed his own nephews, the princes in the tower. I remember learning about this in history. But Grant doesn't accept that the face in the portrait is the face of an evil murderer, so he delves into the past to investigate what really happened. It's really interesting. So it's like a crossover of historical and present-day crime. And the franchise affair, this is about a teenager called Betty Kane who has never put a foot wrong, and so police and local villagers alike are shocked to hear her story that she was kidnapped and kept hostage. She names these two women who own the country house, the franchise, but can these two quiet and sensible women really be guilty of having abused a young girl? She can describe the attic room where she claims she was locked up, but something doesn't add up to Inspector Alan Grant, so he's back again. The locals want justice for Betty, and so the race is on to unravel the truth. Fascinating. I'm going to read both of these. And there you go, that was our July haul. So a bunch of some of the most exciting books that we have published throughout the month of July. Do let me know in the comments which of those you are most excited about, or which books you have hauled this month. And as always, I will leave a link here to a playlist of all of our other book hauls, so you can browse back through the archives of some of our... As I was saying, you can click through to watch our previous book hauls and see some of our best books from months past, and I'll see you next time.